I got this project going, and I don't know how to put it. Soft maple, maybe. And I'm going to have a problem with this. It doesn't turn on and off like I thought it would. So I chased a little thread in here. Maybe you know, you're not supposed to do this when it's still running.
You want to just stop it?
I have
Just use
the rheostat or the frequency controller. Yeah.
Just use the one that says forward, reverse, and neutral.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. You'll stop it, and then you can just put it back on.
All right. Inside or in the outside. No matter what you do. Okay, I can make it a little bigger though.
What's the second law?
The second law. The second law is you can take it off, can't put it back.
Pardon me?
You can take it off, but you can't put it back.
Yeah.
And the disease associated with the second and third law is one more cup.
Well, what's the one speeds your friend until it's not?
Well, that's not a law. That's just
I thought that was a law.
no. That's just like sugar is sweet. I don't know. Okay, here we go.
You need to get that mic right in front of your mouth.
Right in front of my mouth.
Yeah.
I'm not loud enough, you think?
Yeah, we could hear that.
All right. Okay. Okay. You can glue with a pencil. This is Okay. So, ready?
So what did you just do, Anthony, with the back row photos?
I couldn't hear it. What did I just do?
What did you just,
I made a little box. It's like the box we'll make on Saturday, a cash-style box. And so if I have time today, or maybe I'll do it, you know, before I leave, I'll make a little something to go in the end of it, and put a finial on it, and it'll be a little box. So this is, I don't know if I brought it or not. No. Okay, this, oh yes, I'm going to make a box looks like that. This is a raffia nut, a raffia TAE nut. It's palm tree seed. I neglected to bring my half-inch round nose scraper. And so we're going to try to hollow this with a spindle gouge and see how it works. Worst that can happen is it'll break and we'll have to make one out of wood. I have never, I don't think, made a back rattler snake's pattern, but it's raised, and it forms a pear shape, and that's inside of it. Smoke out of it, that's probably not good. Oh my, yes, in Palau, they eat the beetle nut. You know, you've heard it makes your teeth red and stuff. That's a palm tree seed. You can turn it, but the shape isn't good to make the body of the nut out of it, so I use those to make the lid. I'm a little bit scared of that. Let's try something else. This is a square-ended scraper. It's a little flimsy. I started making things like this because you have to be able to put a flat mortise on a box that did fit. And so this is a side cutting tool. You put it up against the side of it on the inside of your mortise and nice straight cut. And so I really not, I prefer not to test the third law here. So let's see what we got going. That's pretty close.
We assume that you have tested the third law in the past.
What now?
Can we assume that you have tested
Oh, yes.
the third law?
Oh, yes. I have tested the third law to extinction.
What was the third law?
You can't make the inside bigger than the outside. And there's a corollary. You can't make the outside smaller than the inside. Still can't be done. Okay. We're going to create the tenon to make the thread. Here, you worked on that relief cut before, right? You have to make a relief cut. Let me make a relief cut so you can see it. What can you see?
You got the front camera on
Do this one. This is. So I had it set at 389. This is the outside chaser. You see it? Okay. It looks like a spork, right? You used to get the spoons with the little fork on the front of it. Okay. And what this does is it enforces the pitch. I can make a 16 TPI thread with this chaser, but I can't make a 20. I either succeed or fail at 16. Okay. And so I have to be able to move my tool at the correct sideways speed, which is the travel of the thread. You start real light. Because I'm not doing a great job here.
What kind of blade speed are you running at?
389. I'm going to speed it up a little.
Do you have to get the tool started in the same place each time?
You're supposed to get back into the same trace. So back into the thread and so that you're deepening the thread rather than crushing the crown. mostly, chasing threads is a gentle thing. Yeah, I'm not doing very well. I'm going to start again. There were some days when I was learning, I started about a little over 20 years ago, probably, learning to chase thread. And the first time I ever tried to chase a thread, the first day, I succeeded. It took me 8 hours. The thread, it looked like, or the box, it looked like a little bullet. The lead, the bullet itself was walnut. The shell, Osage orange. It was a 20 TPI thread, and it was about 2 inches long. So it took 20 minutes to screw it on. But I got better. Okay.
Is it better to try threading with softwood or hardwood?
The harder you can get, the better. And most people that do chase threads use very hardwood. And I think they do it because they never really think that you can do something else. I make waist blocks out of softer woods, and so I learned over time to cut a thread in softer woods, and I still do. I've threaded box elder, big leaf maple burl. I even threaded a sweet potato once. Made a box out of it. It was at the tool show. Someone had asked me if I could chase the thread in a carrot. And I just said yes. I had never done it. I just said yes. And when I got to the grocery store the next day, I was going to do another demo at the tool show. I couldn't find any carrots I liked, so I got a sweet potato. And made a box. They cut it with, if I remember right, 5 threads to the inch. Which is very coarse. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going to cut and sand the portion nearest the edge. And the reason is because you can't get back to it later. Once you screw it into the bottom, you can't get back at it to cut it. So I'm going to do it a little better, a little deeper. And I'm going to sand that. I'm not going to sand it very much. This stuff is So trees are made out of cellulose and lignin. And this is cellulose with no lignin. Can you see right there? That's a place where something there. It has an interesting texture. Okay. Oh, I remember. I didn't find Quill Lock before. So this is the palm tree seed with the thread in it. And I'm thinking about what? So this looks like a one-way shot, but it's not, huh? Okay, too small. We're going to have to use boxwood. I don't have any trucks small enough to grab the other one.
Those pin chucks, what those pin chucks for? Like that long pin chuck, it's 1x8?
There we go. I hesitate to use it because they don't run true.
Well, they were truly expensive when I bought it.
Pin jaws, I have, so everybody, one way, it's the Lade Company. They also make a line of chucks. The big one is the Stronghold. I have 4 or 5 of them, and one of them has pin jaws that are about that long, but only about half that thick. And when you put something in them, they go like that. And so what I did was cut them down to about that tall, and they work real nice. Okay. This is you know, the decorative hedge Korean boxwood. That's essentially what this is. This stuff came from Palau or Laos, and it sat in the garage in New Jersey for about 25 years. And I bought it on eBay, 650 pounds of it for about $400 about 20 years ago. So it's been sitting in my basement ever since. It's in bad shape, it's got a lot of cracks in it, but the last time I looked, they were selling it for $20 a pound. So I was pleased to have it. Later. furniture. Remember I told you the guy who first made the workies made a party tool? It's called furniture or something like that. That's his name. And an 8-inch diameter round nose scraper. This would work for nicely. But I was originally assuming that I was going to make just a regular box. I brought Osage orange. And so that little tool is just too flimsy. No, it's never going to work well. So, I'm going to cut a relief in the back because this is so short. Okay. Round the front. That's what permits me to get my chaser in easily. In the books, they talk about putting a chamfer on the front. And so if any of you have made furniture, you know a chamfer is typically a 45-degree angle, and it's flat with two corners, right? That side, that face, that you cut a chamfer on. But that's wrong. No doubt about it. What you have to do is you make a rounded corner, and that presents the least obstacle to getting your thread chaser in an opening, started on a thread. Okay? This is called an arm brace, and its original purpose was for a wood lathe. The tool rests didn't move. They were a post on either end, and they just sat there. And so if you wanted to get across the face of something, you need something to get you out there. When I saw Bill Jones chase threads, he wears his. This is the original string, but I don't wear it. But he would just put it on when he got near the lathe and never take it off. He'd walk around and hang by his lathe. Usual shorts, but I'll scrub the ground. Oh, okay. And so, when I first started chasing threads, I didn't use it. I went across the rest, and I turned the rest like this, and I went across the rest to chase the thread. That's the way Mike Mahoney does it. They said, the British turners said you had to have it. It just wouldn't work otherwise. And I didn't like it. As a relief, I didn't cut it because I did more on the front, or I did more on the back. And I put it away. And a year and a half later, I picked it up again and tried it. And like after I got better at chasing threads, it all of a sudden became a feasible option. Yeah. So now I'm going to chase the inside thread. has to match this thread. Mostly, chasing threads is real light. You have to let the tool follow the thread that's there. So it starts, come on, close.
Where do you find the tool at?
Say it again.
Where do you find the tools at?
There's lots of people, lots of companies that sell them. This is a sortie. Chasers come in two distinct varieties. This design on the edge here is very sharp. The teeth are like that. They're like stylized mountains. Crown and some other companies make them that go like this. So it's not sharp, it's just rounded. For finer pitches, 20s, 18s, and 16s, I very much like these sharp points. There may be other companies that make them now, but Sorby was the best one as far as I knew. And so that's what I thought. When I get to the coarser threads, I talked about making a thread that was a 5 threads to the inch or an 8. I think I had a 12 here. This is the 12 versus the 20. Over there, yeah. Rounded chasers, rounded threads. There's a German company that I have heard of, actually found on the web once. It's got 2 names, 2 words in its name, but I don't remember what it is, who will custom make chasers at whatever pitch you want. And they're sharp. They're high-speed steel. There's another place, or there used to be in England, called Tracy Tool. It would also make your chasers for you, but they were always rounded crowns. Okay? Remember I told you I'd give you that wax back? This is why I have that, one of the reasons. It's very easy to think about it. When you've cut a chaser, you've used a scraper, and what it's done is it's bent back the fibers. And so when you screw it on, those fibers are bent back and everything's fine. But when you start to unscrew it, the fibers stand up and it gets tighter. I actually made a, and some thread wax fixes that, it's a problem. I actually made a pawn that was about this tall out of wet honey locust. And well, you get that thing, 12-inch diameter head, you get that screwed onto the neck, and then try to unscrew it. I was laying on the ground, rolling around between my legs, trying to get the thing, you know. Okay. So.
Use us apply wax.
I just did, yes, sir. And can you see inside? Maybe not. It looks wet and waxy. I don't know. Let's see. And so, first thing I'm going to do to make certain it runs true, I'm going to clean this surface. A lot of different ways you could do it. You could take your SCU as a, what do you call it, as a scraper. Oh, no.
Okay, I mean, you screwed it on, I just didn't know if you were shaping the outside.
The hard part's done.
Yeah.
So anybody who's ever looked closely at a nut or bolt, they always have chamfers on to lead in. Okay, one more time. And so I have to put that chamfer on here. That's an astute comment. Maybe it is done. I made a box with a finial, and I made them square. The bottom of the box was like that, and then the lid was just like that. It had a little raised part on it, and then I put a finial on it, and the finial was a cylinder. Got small, made another cylinder, and so it was it was a do-it-yourself. You could take it home and round all this stuff and make it pretty. It was art. That was art. No. I made a candle and a candlestick out of a candle. It's kind of like art, isn't it? This is a beading sizing tool. The British frequently use it instead of a skew. The French, I said the British, didn't I? French call it a dam, but that's not really what its name is. That's just what they call it. It catches.
Anthony, that cut before with the beading side tool, you rolled it right as you went in the corner, is that correct?
A little bit, yeah. Just getting rid of some extra. Just getting rid of a little more. A little more, yeah. So if anybody's a box maker, you have two basic ways of making boxes, friction fit and loose wood. If you make friction fit, you have to make it tight enough that you can turn, you turn the bottom and make a tenon on it, and you turn the lid, you put a mortise in it, and you force the bottom on, and you can turn the outside of the bottom. Well, you have to make it real tight. If you don't make it tight enough, see, are you looking from above?
Yeah.
There's the germ of the nut. So, if you make a friction fit box, you have to make the fit tight enough that you can turn the bottom of the box without it coming loose. And with a thread, it's automatic. If you succeeded at all, you would exceed that far. This is almost like adding a single piece of wood. see it's still got some of those fissures in it. I wonder if there's room to cut some of that off. So we talked about the third law, right? The fourth law is obvious, right? Bevel never cuts. No matter how hard you press it, the bevel never cuts. You look from above there. Almost a quarter of an inch, I think. And I don't see any light through there yet. So I think we got enough room to cut a little more. Fifth law is a linguistic problem. Cutting that don't need cutting will not get cut, but needs cutting. And the reason that exists is because people would make bowls. You know, I teach a lot of classes, and people would make these bowls, and they've got this bump on their bowl, and they go, I just can't get that off. And they say, well, take your time, get it ready, cut it. And so what they'll do is, if the bowl is like this, and the bump is here, they'll start back here and start the cut, and it won't be quite the way they like it, so they'll stop and go back and start cutting again. And so there they are cutting, but don't need cutting, which is making the part that does need cutting look bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's the fifth law. But it's also a little bit about planning. It's no use cutting something if you're going to have to cut it again later. Skating? The only reason the tool skates is because the bevel is rubbing and no edge. We're not talking about a cast, we're talking about skating like this. Yeah, that's just because the edge is engaged. So, you saw a skate, right? It slipped forward. That's because I didn't get the handle around far enough for where I was on the shape. The poultry seeds are not happy with heat. So if you sand it too fast at a speed, or use loaded sandpaper with the grits gone or loaded, you can crack it pretty easily. It polishes very nicely with the beetle buffing system. I've lost my blue piece of sandpaper. Thank you. You were talking about this one, right? No, that wasn't it. This is the plastic burl pads, right? And gray is the finest one that has grit. White has no grit. When you buff it, it'll look better. It will come out of these fissures. Do you like name your buffer? Don't you name your buffer? Call it Jimmy? Jimmy Buffett, you know? Oh, Absolutely. Okay. Now the inside of this is looking pretty sad because somebody forgot to bring their ground nose scraper. So we're not going to put any stuff on the inside. So, how do you finish the last part of the box? You have to make a throwaway piece, a waste block. Normally, remember I said I learned to, no, it'll take too long, they aren't around yet. So what law are we threatening here? Get too small space thread in it, that's second law. You might know what first law is? First law is the most important one. First law is, it ain't the rules.
You got different rules in my shop.
What?
I still got different rules in my shop.
something else. Got to remember I talked about rounding the leading edge. Okay. Okay. Slow it down to about 400. Quite a ways away there, Snap.
Yes. I do. You like that tool rest right on the, that's one of his pet peeves.
Pet
That tool
peeves.
rest should be almost right upon that work.
Right.
So if you're in class, to come by and be forewarned.
You guys know Shakespeare, don't you? Would Turner and Malone? What profiteth a man distance betwixt rest and wood? You might actually read Shakespeare, did What? There's a comic book. I've read it, Macbeth, comic book. So you see I started at an angle. By the time I get all the way around, my job is to make it flat. You don't want to cut a pipe thread. Pipe thread is a tapered thread. There was a while, some years ago, where thread chasing became real popular. And so people who weren't willing to put in the effort were trying to do it, and they would do lots of other things. They'd use super glue, they would chase pipe threads, they would chase threads in cross-grain. Of course, cross-grain piece of wood, first thing it does is move. And if your thread is a 16 or a 20, how tall is the thread? A 16 TPI thread. Not much, that's what it is. And so if your piece works, it'll show up. Yeah, I started too early. My thread was, the tenon was too big. You cannot reduce the size of the tenon with the chaser. It will cause the thread, the crown of the thread to crumble. And so you have to cut the thread off, cut the crown off, and start again. You don't go all the way until you lose the trace, because you can get back in the same old trace and follow it again. Yeah, one more. It won't hurt. What?
That's like 5.
It's right.
One more cut's always better.
If the first one is good, the second one's got to be better. Who is it? Yeah, never mind. So I actually was quite a ways off, so I may have to do this one more time. Cut it down to almost nothing. That's pretty close. It would probably go, but if you have your thread a little tapered, it will split your lid. getting late.
A little bit, yeah, I just wanted to have some.
Okay, this is 4.5 minutes, is that all right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no problem.
The only thing my acorn is missing is the squirrel. What do they call this? Decoration that serves no function? It's called a doodah. Here's another one of the secrets. Friction fit boxes or threaded boxes, they can get on there too tight. Well, and they get on real tight. Let's see what happens. One more. Nope. Okay. So, these are the beetle buffing system. I usually flood this with shellac, rattle can shellac, and in 10 seconds wipe it off, give it overnight to dry, and then buff it.
Can we pass around some of your tools that you're
Yes.
using? And what is that? Oh, this parting tool is a,
That's a power hacksaw blade.
yeah.
I actually wrapped the drag around it, thought I needed a handle, put some duct tape on it,